Let me know in the, oh, okay. Okay. It's now 2 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Committee or public comments? We'll start with the committee members. Anybody on the committee wish to make a statement? All right. Public comments. Please state your name, sir, and city of residence.
Name's Mike Neal, and there was just a little glitch happened from the notice of this meeting. I decided not to make an overly big deal about it. As noted from the email server, notice was sent on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Should have been sent by Monday, no later than 2 p.m. Now that sometimes the servers glitch and they don't send things out till later. I don't know if it's already being looked at or not. I raised the issue, and it may be a one-time deal. It's important that the public gets proper notice. That's why they have it in California law. So I'm requesting that the staff, just do what they can to make sure that the things get, usually when they send them out, when I send things out to a list of people, I put my name in the sent thing and I put the other people on a carbon copy or a blind carbon copy. So I get it back. So I know exactly when the system actually sent it out. So, maybe the system glitched, but I'd like to make sure they look at this as to the fact that it didn't get sent out till Tuesday and was actually late, because people could have, there'd been more than just myself, complain that they didn't get proper notice about the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Neal.
Yeah. Don, could you check with whoever our IT person is to see if there's a lag in our email somewhere? Because I got the notice at 4 o'clock on Wednesday. So
You have our IT person right here.
There was no IT issues.
Oh, he does it all?
He's amazing.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah,
if
I
you
was
could put
aware,
that on his list to see if there's an issue of,
I was aware there was a little bit of a delay in getting it out, but we did comply. It was posted here, it was posted on our website. So in terms of complying with the Brown Act, we complied.
oh, okay. So
Right.
the website is the
Water
official?
District- And posting it outside of our office, yeah.
Okay. Well,
But
in spite of that, ignoring, well, I didn't mean ignoring the Brown Act. That wouldn't be very kind. However, I think for the benefit of the public, it would be nice to get the emails, out. 3
No
days
doubt,
ahead of
and,
time.
and this doesn't happen very often, and I'm not going to say it's never going to happen again, but this is the first time I was aware
No,
of
I
it.
understand.
Were there any comments from the public online? Okay, item 3, Indian Wells Valley Groundwater Authority. Director Rotora.
That would be me. Okay, the GA met on August the 11th, and it was, for the most part, a fairly light agenda. The GA did approve sending a letter to the Water District regarding bonding for the Table A entitlement, and I think we're all aware of that, but it's important that the public understands that. We learned that the GA's 2022 Navy COSO project nomination was not selected by the Navy. I think, we went through and apparently selected what we thought was a reasonable project for that particular grant money, and the Navy turned it down. The method of choosing PAC discussion topics was modified in the bylaws. The whole idea was to make it easier to get topics nominated for the PAC to talk about. There were a number of TAC and PAC topics that were approved for committee review, and hopefully those will get started very quickly. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a PAC meeting tonight, I believe at 5 o'clock, at the town hall, at the city hall. And Don, you're our representative, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And I think my feeling is they did go to some effort to try to simplify things in terms of the PAC, and we're just gonna have to take a wait and see attitude to see how it works. I think the key is to get the public buy-in, so as long as the public buys into the new process, you know, that's great. I'm all in favor of that. We'll just have to wait and see. Stetson has reviewed the round 3 of the Prop 1 groundwater grant program, and apparently determined that our eligibility is not there, as for the GA. And I believe that the Water District has also looked at that same grant funding and decided that we also were not eligible. Last but not least, there was a financial report presented at the meeting. However, quite frankly, I couldn't tell. The revenue, I think, is correct. They're identifying the revenue that they're getting, including ours. However, there is no way to tell how the Water District funds that we give them are being spent. So that's obviously a continuing issue that we need to keep track of. And that's all, except for answering any questions that you might have.
If there are any questions from committee members?
I would just add, with respect to the PAC meeting tonight on the agenda, it really isn't a substantive agenda. PAC hasn't met since, I think, January of 2020, so it's more getting organized again. I think we're looking at election of officers, figuring out who's still on the PAC and who has left since then. And I think the one major item is the PAC is, by the bylaws of the Groundwater Authority, the PAC nominates TAC members. So that's on the agenda for each PAC member to nominate a TAC member, which would then be those nominations we brought to the board for approval. So other than that, again, it's just a matter of getting everybody back together and electing a chair, vice chair, more or less administrative type of things.
Yeah, sort of a second organizational meeting. I did notice, by the way, since you brought it up, is that one of the things that the GA discussed at our meeting is that well, let's see, the groundwater well level, whatever. Let me see. I know there's a way of. Oh, the shallow well impacts mitigation program was on both the PAC and the TAC discussion topics, and I noticed it did not make it on the PAC list of potential topics. So you might want to watch that, because I personally feel that the shallow well impact is one of the, clearly one of the primary issues associated with the GA. We can't let that slip through.
No, it has been sent to PAC members, but it's not on the agenda, you're right. Just for your information, I will be sending out comments. The shallow well mitigation program was sent to TAC, PAC, and to the GA staff with a request for comment. So myself being on the PAC, Tim Parker on the TAC, and Jim and I both as staff members, we've collaborated on a review of that. We put our comments together. We finalized them this morning before this meeting. So there was just one further comment Tim wanted to revise, which I got after lunch. So after this meeting, I'll be sending it out to the GA, to Heather Steele, Steve Johnson at Stetson, April, and to Carol, the GM.
Okay, great.
So we will have provided our comments on that program.
Great. Well, I'm assuming there'll be many PAC members that'll be interested in that particular topic.
Other questions for Director Rotorua? All right. Are there any comments or questions from the public?
Yeah, Mike Neal. So did you two get a copy of what I wrote in this response to the city letter that was sent out in the agenda today? I had to put some work into it, because it's only 5 pages of a bunch of lawyer lies, but, anyway, it
I
got
haven't
me out. I
seen
don't
your-
even get to one, okay,
Haven't
well,
yet, no.
you should look at it on the city council agenda, item 12, this supposed letter, which is, I think, more properly described as a 5-page diatribe full of lawyer lies. The knife has come out. They are going after you guys in no uncertain terms. Keith Lemieux's been sipping wine and letting his creative juices flow big time. It's 5 pages. I'm not going to obviously read all of that, but there's sections and little comments that I'm just going to highlight to you, and then when you go read it, and hopefully you'll get the copy. I sent a copy of this. It's Word formatted, so it's a little easier to deal with. That's what took some time to get that in there correctly.
Mr. Neal, could I ask, where did you send it to?
I sent it to Amber. She's the one that sends the
Okay.
notice out, and
Okay.
asked her to forward it.
Okay, Amber's off today, so that,
Oh, well, no wonder you didn't get it. I didn't know that. Should have included Lauren, but in any case, so they've got it in sections, and it looks like, a nice little document. So the first one is, or second section is the purpose of the replenishment fee they're trying to describe. They say the water district was historically charged with not only operating the water system, but with preserving and maintaining the groundwater supply. My comment to that is, really? Who said that? I'm not aware that that was ever the case, that they had to maintain the groundwater supply. Says the water district failed to take the necessary steps to maintain the groundwater supply. And my comment was, they water supply, they don't aquifer replenish. So because of this failure, and note the, continued use of words like failure and so forth, the basin is now because of your failure, the basin is a high priority basin in a state of critical overdraft. Pass the blame and distract from the real problem, okay? This is the the beginning shot. Then they go on down here, let me make sure I can take track of this. This is still under purpose of the replenishment fee section. The authority, now the good guys obviously, after consulting with stakeholders in the community, adopted a GSP that requires pumpers to pay for the water they remove from the basin so that replacement water can be bought and returned to the basin. This ensures an equal amount of water is returned to the basin for each unit overpumped. And this is paid through a replenishment fee. And I might just note that a fee that was fiercely opposed by over 5,000 property owners who were promptly ignored by the GA lawyers primarily. Then they go down to talk about your fees now under water district fee section. It says the water district also voted in favor of adopting the GSP. Well, I have to be honest, that's when they had a GA-friendly district rep on the GA, and he went along and voted for this thing. It was only until the last days of the situation where he started pushing back. Then they said that this meant the water district approved a report that indicated that all its pumping could be subject to the replenishment fee. Again, when a GA-friendly rep was on the GA, and he's not gonna like this, but I'm just being honest. Then it says the fee was nevertheless adopted as proposed, over a large scale. I've never seen such objection to a tax/fee in this valley. I've been here 40 years. I've never seen such outrage over it. So in an apparent attempt, here you go. Get ready for the knife to come in again. In an apparent attempt to assign blame for its costs, please somebody tell them that whining is immature. Water district customers that have called the water district to complain about the amount of the bill have been directed to the IWVGA. Well, it's their fee. This appears to be part of a strategy to apply pressure to the GA by stoking anger among the rate players who are subject to the unnecessarily high rates. Well, this is lawyer lies and obfuscation. Then you go on further down. Now this is under financing. Now they're going to get to where they want to push you to take the loan out, finance fee. It would appear, therefore, that the water district's failure, here comes that again, failure, to consider this issue is not merely an oversight, but part of an intentional strategy, more lawyer lies than obfuscation. In this way, the Water District has filed suit against, how about in behalf of, every landowner in the basin. Therefore, it says this Water District lawsuit can conservatively, now they're going to exaggerate, the Water District lawsuit could be conservatively be expected to cost the Water District's ratepayers from $5 to $10 million or more. My comment is, freedom from tyrants always costs. Then I go, and so I'm sorry, this is dragging out. I think I'm on the last 1 or 2 pages. The city will need to vigorously defend its water rights from this unwarranted, legally deficient attack. I'd say, so you say, more law, your lies. So I'm not going to go through all this, because this is actually taking more time than I even thought it would, but sort of 5 pages of this baloney. Let me hit the highlights here. Go down to towards the end of it. Rate reform by the district. A failure by the Water District to properly account for its water needs and finance its water fees places the city's water future at grave risk. By filing an imprudent lawsuit, the Water District apparently hopes to cause unrest against the GA and the replenishment fee. Well, I'd say that's great. This strategy is both reckless in its tactics, so now you're reckless, and its unrest against, and its goals. The tactic punishes the citizens of Ridgecrest with unnecessarily high rates while further damaging the basin. By the time you get to this, my comment is, oh, it could only get worse. The lies just expand. In the very last paragraph, they say, in sum, we have the money available now. We could ensure the stability of the community and the potential for economic growth by acquiring the needed water resources now at a significantly cheaper rate. My comment is, they avoid the obvious here. They have no approved plan. Nothing. State hasn't approved it, but they want to finance something that basically doesn't exist in reality. And how about Searles Valley? Said with only half the pot of a replenishment fee funds, this whole scheme completely falls apart. But yet, they cut you loose Keith Lemieux to concoct something like this to try to stab you guys in the back with. So I hope you have not real sensitive nerve endings.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Neal. Okay, are there any comments from the public who are online? All right, very good. Was there anything else you'd like to add to this item, Director Rotora?
No,
Okay,
I'm good, thank you.
very good. Let's move on to item number 4, brackish water study.
Okay, I do have just a short update. I previously reported following the aquifer test that was conducted using the wells from Mojave Pistachio. There was a suggestion to take deep samples from water wells NR1D and NR2D to see what the water chemistry was in those wells following the aquifer test. So there wasn't money in the grant to do that. So the funding group agreed to provide funding from the initial seed money for the brackish project to help support the sampling. A couple weeks ago while I was on vacation, Wade Major made arrangements with BEST, B-E-S-S-T, to do the sampling. They've indicated that they are not available until mid-October, so they've put out a contract with BEST to conduct that sampling. So we're just waiting for that to take place. Other than that, I think I reported, at least in the weekly updates to you, I may not have reported last water management, but we did submit a request to the state to extend the deadline for completing the project. We requested to extend it to June of 2022, and the state did grant that. So, final report will be submitted hopefully prior to that date, much prior to that date. We're actually intending to get it done by March or April, but left a little question with everything going on with COVID and other things that tend to cause interruptions. Play it safe, we requested a June 2022 date. So that's all for brackish water.
Okay, are there any questions for Dawn?
You know, I'd just like to, I don't think there's a critical timeline issue here.
No,
Yeah, so,
no.
you know, whatever.
Only timeline was making sure you spend the funding within the confines of the project,
Yes.
the project, the grant.
All right. Was there anything else, Don?
No, not on brackish water.
Is there any comments or questions from the public?
I'll again go to myself. Two questions. I don't quite, haven't studied this. So is it the case that whatever brackish water that there is, it could potentially be filtered out, used as potable or near potable water for the water supply in the basin?
It could be filtered, it also could be blended.
All right, I've heard that before, and I forgot. Is it also unfortunately the case that most of that is often on Navy property that they're probably not going to cooperate very much with us on?
Probably most of the resources for brackish water are already on the northeast part of the basin and some in the southeast, but primarily on the base. You know, when SkyTem did their aerial survey, we were allowed just limited access to the base, and understandable, but it was a little unfortunate because we suspect that much of the resources are in that area, and we're not allowed to gather the data from that area to confirm it. But we do know there's brackish water out there.
So I'm not going to ask you to speculate, but I'm going to speculate our chances of actually getting to it are pretty low, just based on what I know the history of stuff like this with the base. They're kind of like LADWP. They don't want you on their property.
Well, there's another consideration as well. The state has unequivocally stated that the brackish water would not be considered new water, would be considered water from our basin. So using that
Right.
brackish water would still go towards the quote sustainable yield.
Yeah, but we could use it and
It could
that
be
much
used, yes.
less.
There's
we would-
advantages to using it, yes.
That much less we'd have to import, depending how much we think there is, and if the Navy's even going to let us touch it. All right.
Right, thank you. Anybody online have a comment or a question? Okay, very good. Then,
Excuse me, I'd like to interject that,
okay,
understand that the Navy right now has no obligation to work with us, but it may be with the adjudication that there will be a little bit of pressure applied to have them maybe be a little bit more supportive of where we're trying to go. Because obviously it's as much their problem as it is ours, and so who knows what might happen.
okay.
I mean, think positive, not it.
Anyone else? Let's move on then to alternate water sources.
Okay, the board, during the workshop and in previous meetings, has expressed a desire to look into an exploration program. So between Chuck Krieger, Tim Parker, Jim Worth, and myself, we did have an initial call on the 17th last week. And as a result of that discussion, Tim Parker took all the feedback and put together a draft of a exploration program, if you will, what would it comprise of, which he has sent to us to review and make sure that it captures all the information that we discussed. So we're planning after we review it to have a follow-up call, and that's where we're at with that. But we did have the initial call and we have a document put together that we will bring to the board once it's all finalized.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah,
Stanton?
That's great.
I will just say, at this point, it's just putting the steps together that comprise the plan, and then at some point, we'll assign costs to those individual tasks.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, and in spite of the fact that the sub-directors want us to go out and buy land right away, I think we need to approach it in a little bit more organized manner, but
Well, it's part-
that's where we need to start and I think Tim's the right man to be doing that.
As part of the discussion, one of the assignments that came out of that call was to look at what private land is available in the basin. So Chuck Krieger took that assignment, and we did get a map, a few maps from him that show where private land is, just to avoid the additional paperwork and permitting required if we go on public land.
I would like to caution in the wording here that might come back and bite us. It says exploring for a new aquifer or basin. We have an existing aquifer and an existing basin. What we're doing is looking for new water in the existing aquifer. so that we don't make people think that we're going out of scope of what
Yeah,
we're really supposed to be doing.
It should say sub-basin. El Paso is considered a sub-basin, so
Okay,
that's probably the term that we should be using.
all right. Anything else from the committee? All right, any comments from the public?
Mike Neal, a question for point of clarity. The El Paso Basin's been discussed number of times. Now, tell me if I'm incorrect here. My impression of discussions I've had is that there's potential from that part of the basin, I believe it's actually part of our basin, that the recharge from that area could be a lot higher than previously thought, and that would, change the water balance and the discharge-recharge balance in the aquifer here. Is that the case? We get more recharge from down there than they've said before, so we don't have the 7850, we've got whatever.
There's a limited
9,000.
number of wells out there to monitor, and the wells that are monitored are kind of contrary to the rest of the basin, where overall in the basin, the tendency is to have decline every year at some amount. Over the years, there's been decline in the El Paso Basin, but you've also seen well levels come up. So again, when we're talking in terms of new water, it's not really new water because it's part of the basin. But one advantage, if there was water out there that we could take advantage of, would be spreading out the pumping within the basin a little bit more.
Oh.
So where the Southwest Well Field, where the water district gets a lot of its water production from, moving out that area could alleviate some of the pumping in that Southwest Well Field.
We're talking about reducing the toning in certain areas, spreading it out, not necessarily saying we're trying to make some moves to say we've got an increased water supply from over there necessarily. Okay.
Were there any questions from the participants online? Okay, very good, thank you. Item number 6, future agenda items. Stan, do you have anything?
No, I would just encourage the staff to see if we can't get the report that Tim is putting together on this topic out to the board as quickly as possible. But other than that, no, I have nothing. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything either. Dawn, anything you'd like to see?
No, it's, my approach would be, once we finalize it, to first bring it to water management for your review and then take it to the board.
All right. Well, very good. Then I will offer this up to public comment. Nope. Anybody online want to pitch in on this one? Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting adjourned at 2:28 p.m.